We have a very special guest speaker today, and it is certainly my pleasure and my honor to be able to introduce Reverend Rodney Gittens to you all. I know many of you might already know Reverend Rodney, and some of you might not. Reverend Rodney has been a part of the Center of Peace since the Center of Peace started. Reverend Rodney fully embraces joy, satisfaction, and fulfillment as this journey of life, or his journey of life, unfolds. He hails from Brooklyn, New York, and that's where he's currently residing. Okay, Brooklyn in the house. And that's where he formerly resides. Reverend Rodney is the founder of One Love Center. It began in 2012, and he is the senior minister there at One Love Center for Spiritual Living since he graduated and was installed as the center's senior minister. And they've been affiliated with Centers for Spiritual Living since 2017. Reverend Rodney is a mighty force in this movement. He is involved in his family. He's involved in his community. He's involved with the larger community, Centers for Spiritual Living, the organization itself. And he serves in many leadership capacities. He is on the nominating team core. He's done that from 2005 to 2009. He is the CSL Regional Diversity Trainer from 2013 to present. He is the CSL Diversity Commission Visioning Team he served on in 2014. He is a part of the visioning team since 2021 for Centers for Spiritual Living. He also serves on the awards committee. He's been doing that from 2019 to present. He is also the co-founder and member of the PADNT, which is People of African Descent in New Thought. And they have are having their second annual convention, and maybe he'll tell us a little bit about that and invite us all to that. And Reverend Rodney says he's just grateful to be fully available to serve others in many ways and to assist them in empowering lives and strengthening communities. Reverend Rodney is a beacon of love and light. He just doesn't teach these principles and practices. He's truly out in the world demonstrating to others how to change their lives and change their minds and change their behaviors and change their actions. And I'm delighted to be able to have him here with us today to bring the word. Reverend Rodney and I also were in ministerial school together, and I just love him. I truly do, and I know you all are going to enjoy every word that comes out of his mouth. Would you please join me in welcoming our guest speaker, Reverend Rodney Gittens.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be home again, home away from home. And I got to tell you, this is really awesome. I love what you have here. I mean, I don't need to tell you how awesome this is, but I will anyway. I'm really emotional seeing how this has transgressed and transformed and transitioned into this tremendous community. And love the space and all the love and support of Reverend Twana. Just thank you so much, bless you, for taking the Center of Peace to just another level. You know, I mean, I think of Reverend Sheila all the time. Actually, I remember my first visit, she pulled me up to the stage to do a prayer, you know, and I'm like, you know, what, me? You know, and she was just there for me all the time. I mean, yeah, she didn't allow any other possibility. I could never say no to Reverend Sheila. So you all know what I'm talking about. And in reality, I wouldn't want to say no. Out of fear, I wanted to say no. But I was more fearful of saying no to her than fear of not being able to handle it, So I'm like, I'm just going to get up and do the best I can, But, I mean, it was all through love. And I mentioned to Rev Twana earlier that the center of peace, this is the center from where peace flows. And so far, this service has been nothing short of the fullness of peace in its fullness. I'm like almost peaced out, I'm like, I'm ready to, gee, what's this speaker got to say, So, but yeah, this is awesome. So, Reverend Twana asked me to come. First, I thought it was online, like I'd done, a while back, and I was like, wow, I get to come and be here. And honestly, this is the first time I got to speak from the pulpit at the Center of Peace, which is quite an honor. And so I'm grateful. I thank you. And hail from One Love Center for Spiritual Living. And we're still online. And this is certainly inspiration to want to get back, because I just love what happens in person. Thank you for the music. Everything's just so inspiring. So I really trust that you'll just know how good you have it. That you know how good this is. Yes? Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. All right, so I understand this theme of the month is acceptance. Is that right? Seems like a pretty easy topic, acceptance. I'll just accept it. If it was only that easy, it was only that simple. I mean, I don't know how many of you know the process that you might go through in getting to acceptance. Now, I know when I came into this teaching, I didn't accept everything I heard. In fact, I was, I'm very dubious about this stuff they're talking about. I like the hugs, I like the different music, I like some of that aspects, but now we're talking about principle and law, and it's like, oh, this is a philosophy, and it's like, it's really an invitation to think, to learn how to think. Don't just accept what you hear. Try it on, see how it fits, use it, work it. The founder of religious science, science of mind and spirit, he's like, well, don't just take the words, for what they are. It's no good unless you experience it, unless you try it out for 30 days. Then come back and let Reverend Twana know, that law of attraction didn't really work. I didn't attract, anything that I said I wanted. Well, then we get to experience, hey, what actually were you thinking? What actually were you repeating to yourself? And how do you know? By what shows up. That's a demonstration of what shows up in your life is the evidence of what you predominantly have been thinking. Of course, I didn't like that. I didn't want to accept that. I'm like, what? I have to take a look at what I'm thinking? It's my responsibility. Everybody else's responsibility to tell me, what were you thinking? No. In a loving, gentle way. We don't want to blame anybody, make you feel guilty or anything like that. No. It's like, this is the way we empower one another by examining our thoughts. So, the title of my talk is Accepting the Unacceptable, otherwise known as the Divine Knows. All right? So, the Divine Knows. Your nose. What was that commercial way back? The cereal commercial? Follow your nose. It always knows. Well, the Divine knows. There's a no. When you say no, you just can't take it anymore. The Divine no, it comes from a place of fear, not necessarily negative fear, but a fear that comes up like, what? I don't think this is any good for me. No. And it can be divine. The divine knows, divine knowing, there's another no. The divine knowing comes from the infinite intelligence that is at work and play in our lives. So the divine knows, that smells the difference. That don't smell good to me. No, I don't think I want that, And so you think about the divine nose, it provides the wisdom to know the difference. So the power of the nose, and we have to sometimes use all three, right? So let's get an understanding of acceptance. With acceptance, we're always taking information into our temple, into our world, into our body. Yes? When you're taking in food, you're informing your cells, hey, we got something good for you, hopefully. Food to nourish the cell. Maybe you're getting a message, food to nourish your mind, your thoughts, and your thinking. The ideas of knowledge for wisdom. Because, knowledge is no good unless you put the experience with it, and that becomes what? Wisdom. All right? And so we bring that into our realm, becomes part of who we are. What we accept into our lives, it's going to come out. It's going to come out through our pores. It's going to come out, what we eat, it's going to come out, and what's that smell like? Is it smelling good? Is it smelling sweet? It's like, All right, so the nose is at play with the lungs. Well, I know is good for me. I know what's good to come into my body temple. Okay? And so what we're looking for is to add to our features. In some respects, we want to release some things, and I love that releasing meditation. We want to be able to enhance our presence with what we take in, accept what is, and sometimes accept what is not. And so are you ready to receive? Are you ready to accept? And a lot of times, as I mentioned, it's a process. We don't just automatically, okay, I accept it. We usually go through a process. We're like, let me see, let me think about that. And hopefully we're using the right thinking, not the upside down thinking. The upside down thinking, which operates through fear and doubt and worry and doesn't give us much to work on. Our breathing is shallow when we're operating from that place. We're not taking in the nutrients, for our blood, for our brain. And so I think about the Serenity Prayer. I don't know if anybody's a 12-stepper. You don't have to identify yourself. But I got to religious science through being in 12-step program. And we use the Serenity Prayer. And that's the first thing that came to mind when I heard the word accept. God, grant me the serenity, the peace, to accept. Okay? So to accept the things I cannot change. The serenity to accept that which is unacceptable. I have to accept what is unacceptable before I can accept it. Right? It's like, it's like getting to release a thought at the same time that I'm willing to take it in. At the same time, I have to seek this courage to know the difference. I need to seek the wisdom to know the difference. So, I think about the serenity to accept. When I'm upset, when I'm angry, it doesn't really happen very often, but, I'm not going to say mad, because I don't even feel that's a human experience, mad, But when we're upset, it's difficult to really accept anything that's good for us. I remember I learned about tea, boiling tea, water for tea, and I was told, don't pour boiling water on your tea bag because it changes the chemistry and it makes for angry tea. I guess that's a kind of an aside. but you know what I mean? It's like we have to take a look at the things that we're doing that are acceptable and unacceptable. And what's unacceptable is creating situations that hold us back from having the best for ourselves, like I mean, I didn't try to do an experiment with the tea bag to see which one I like better, you know. But I was told that, hey, you know what? Just don't do it, you know. And I kind of accepted it. And I did try it. I didn't make it a big experiment, but I'm like, you know what? This tea tastes different when I just pour hot boiling water over it, you know, rather than let the water relax a little bit. You know, I thought about, wow, yeah, that's kind of like how it is with us. When you're upset, sometimes it's difficult to hear what people have to say. You know, it's like, no, I don't want to hear that. You know, la 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 la. And in that moment, the truth may be unacceptable. What do we have to do in order to move forward and get what we need to get? We have to be at peace. We have to be calm. We have to allow ourselves a moment and then accept, you know what? That's unacceptable to me. What do I have to do in order to receive the word, to receive the message, to receive something that's going to help me move to the next level? We have to be vulnerable. We have to, like, you know, put down the wall, put down the barriers that get in the way of accepting a message. But first, I have to accept that I'm not accepting it. Otherwise, I'm going to keep not accepting it. How does that say? You know, if you go to the beach with a beach ball and you try to put it under the water and think it's just going to stay there, how hard do you have to work to keep that ball under the water? All right? And what's it trying to do? It's trying to rise up because of the air, you know, and it's trying to rise up. And the saying is, what we resist persists. And the more we try to fight to keep that ball under the water, the more it's going to keep trying to come up. And what's going to happen? We're going to get tired before eventually it's going to rise up. Okay? Eventually that message is going to get to us. You can't keep it down. It's going to rise, you know. And we go through that with ourselves. Well, I'll speak for myself. You know, if any of you, you know, identify, you know, you don't have to raise your hand. However, have you ever resisted accepting that this is just unacceptable? I mean, I think about it. Think about this example. Remember before the horseless carriage? And people were riding horses and using horses with their carriages. And one thing that people just didn't take for granted at the time was how this mess from the horses is going to get cleaned up. And big cities like New York and Philadelphia all of a sudden found themselves with a big problem. They couldn't keep up with the horse manure on the streets. It became unacceptable. And until they could accept the fact that this is unacceptable, because they were starting to stand in mess. When it rained, it's like, oh my God, it's like all over the place. Did that become unacceptable? After a while. Didn't happen right away. They didn't foresee that it would be unacceptable. They had to experience it being unacceptable. And nothing happened until they accepted it. Like, you know what? In the words of the great sage, Mr. I, first name Pop, Popeye. The great name, Popeye. Do you remember what he used to say? That's all I can stand, I can't stand no more. Yeah, you all know that. Does that sound like accepting the unacceptable? He used to get beat down all the time. He said, well, that's it, I can't take any more. He took it for how long? Until he remembered he had a can of spinach. Okay? All right? It's like, gee, you could have had that from the beginning, you know, end the fight. Yeah. Right? How often do we do that? How often do we get... Listen, I remember people used to say about overcoming, trying to make it through addictions and disease. It was like getting in the ring with Mike Tyson. Everybody hear that? Remember Mike Tyson, the boxer? People would get in the ring and they'd be knocked out like in the first round. You know? And that's kind of like what it was like to fight and not admit, you know, and not accept that you're not going to win. I'm not going to win against the disease of addiction or gambling or whatever, disease thinking on my own. There's no way I can handle it. But let me just try one more time. Did not accept the unacceptable. It's unacceptable for me to get beat down again, to lose again, to get knocked out again. So what do we have to do? I have to eventually put into play some of the spiritual principles we talk about. All right, because it's not going to happen through just my fear and my doubt and my ego and my willfulness. It's going to have me back in the ring again, getting knocked out. Okay, no can of spinach anywhere. It's like, and so one of those principles, and those of you who know me know I love acronyms. So, of course, I have an acronym for some of the principles that we're going to talk about. Just 2 of them. And I can use your help. I have an idea. We need to use faith, right? You have to have faith that there's something else, like that can of spinach, there's something else that's going to help me to accept that which is unacceptable. I mean, there's the intellect, the people who started making cars, the horseless carriages, because we just got too many horses, because we got too much horse droppings, okay? It's like, there's got to be something else. They didn't do it probably just because of the horses, but it made a big difference. They're like, oh, by the way, we don't have to have as many horses in stables, and the smell of, the nose is like, oh, I know there's got to be something different. There's got to be something better than this. And so, first, I have an acronym for the word accept. Awareness. Got to be aware of what there is that I need to be the unacceptable about. All right? I got to be aware that, what? I just can't do this anymore. And then conviction. Right? Pape sounded convinced. I can't take it anymore. How many of you have gone through? You know what? I just, dear friend, my dear beloved was telling me about a situation in her school. And she didn't like the way that certain classroom professionals were treating the children. And she had seen it once. And she didn't say anything. And then she went back to the school again some time after, and she saw the same thing happening. And to her, it was unacceptable. And at that point, she accepted it, that, you know what? I can't accept this anymore. And she spoke up. And then things showed up to change. The manifestation of her word reached others, and they bought into that too. Not that it's completely done from that one episode, but it puts things into motion, okay? And so you got to be convinced that, you know what, this is not going to happen, not supposed to happen. It's not the best thing to happen. And then there's consciousness, right? We have to use our higher consciousness. Because if you operate at the lower consciousness, in the shame, the blame, the guilt, the sadness, the ego, the willfulness, nothing's going to change. You're not going to accept anything. So you have to have that consciousness, Christ's consciousness, the place of love, the place of peace, the place of joy, the place of giving, receiving, of sharing, of understanding, forgiving, all of that. That's consciousness. And then engage. When you're accepting, it doesn't do any, it's like prayer without works is, you got to do what? You got to engage. You got to put it into action. Yes? And also, Ernest Holmes also uses the word embody. We must embody the principle. When we want to accept something into our beingness, we have to embody it, take it on fully. Yes? Does that make sense? Because if you're not embodying it, it's just kind of hanging out somewhere. You have all the conviction in the world, but if you're not embodying it, then it's just innocuous. It's not going anywhere. And so that is accept. Oh, I forgot. The P is for principle. Stay rooted in principle. Stay rooted in the principle, the law. Use the law, the Lord, the law as your foundation, I'm standing on principle. Okay? I'm not standing on shaky ground. I'm not standing on maybe, what if, or any feeling of something that's not supportive. And then there is T for truth. Got to stand on the truth, right? What is the truth? Capital T, truth. Okay? The truth is God is all there is. Yesterday, today, and forever. That's the truth. God is in all, through all, as all. And out of that comes everything else. And if you don't like the word God, use whatever word works for you. The supreme being, infinite, the creator has a master plan. I haven't heard that since my musicians sang it before the pandemic. So thank you so much. That does it. Okay, I'm back. And so we have accept. And then you have faith. You got to have the faith behind the works. The faith that, you know what? My thoughts, my efforts are already fulfilled. Not going to be, not will be. It's already done in the mind of the Creator, in the mind of God. Why? The theme of the year is oneness. All there is one. All right? What it comes down to is that, don't ye know that ye are gods? Don't you know that you are made in the spiritual image and likeness of the divine? That which created everything has created you out of itself. That's the faith of God. Your faith in God is, I believe in God. Yeah, God exists. The faith of God says the God power that is in me is the God power that does it all. I give it direction by my voice. If I don't have the power of my voice, by the power of my thought, which is in alignment with the truth that God is all there is. It can't be anything outside of that. And if I think of anything outside of that, I'm going to experience something outside of that. But there is nothing outside of that. It's only a false belief that there's something outside of that. And so we do that with faith. Faith, F stands for freely, or any other F you can think of that's positive. Okay. Freely. A stands for accepting. Okay, I'm free to accept the truth. I'm free to allow myself to accept the unacceptable. There's nothing stopping me except my own doubts and fears. I stands for intuition. There's divine intuition that operates in, through, and as me all the time if I'm at peace and I'm serene enough to hear it. God is like that parent that knows the best for you, is always talking, do this, do this, do this, do this. That's like God. God, it's like, come on, God. Give me, I know, God. God's always talking. Are we always listening? I'm like, okay, God. Okay. I hear you now. And then this T for truth. Again, I have faith that there's only one power, one presence, one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. That's the truth. And then there's harmony. It all comes together. I love about harmony. And harmony is different than, what's that other word? Just skip my mind for a moment. Balance. Harmony and balance aren't the same. Musicians know that. Yeah, I'm sure many others do. Harmony is a blend of things that come together that don't equal out evenly. Okay? A little of this, a little bit of that, more of this, more of that. That's harmony. But it blends together and it makes a beautiful sound. It's a beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful view. I'm looking around and I see fantastic harmony in these seats. I mean, I felt so welcome walking into the door. Oh my goodness. I'm like, yeah, this is it. I just can't wait to see the seats filled when I got, it's awesome. And so that's faith. So we're talking about to practice acceptance, we need principle. We stand on faith and trust and truth. I believe I have a quote by Ernest Holmes. Science of Mind, text, page 458. As we must plant a seed before we can reap the harvest, so we must believe our prayers can be answered. You pray believing it's already done. Prayer should reach a point of acceptance, an unqualified and undisputed place of agreement. This is our level of acceptance. Let us take the mental images of our desires to the bosom of the creative life, and here make them known by impressing them upon it with positive belief. If we do this, our prayers will be answered. We have to have acceptance that our prayers will be answered before it even shows up. Yes? Have you all heard that? I'm talking to the choir here? Okay. All right. Now, something slipped by here. Here, make them known by impressing our desires upon it. That's one of the first acronyms I love. IT. Ernest Holmes uses it a lot. I was like, what is it? For me, IT means infinite truth. The truth that's the same yesterday, today, and forever. It's infinite. It's always been the truth. What's the truth? That the Creator creates everything out of itself, the universe or whatever other universe, because it's got to be more than one. Diverse, biverse, I don't care how many verses, doesn't matter, Our prayers will be answered when we accept with an undisputed place of agreement. I'm convinced I accept that I can no longer accept that BS. You ever been around long enough to know what BS stands for? Belief system. Okay? All right, we're keeping it clean here. All right? The belief system. What belief system are you using that has you experience things that are unacceptable? Can't take it anymore. I accept it. Maybe I put myself in that situation, or however I found myself there or here. I got to take responsibility for it. And I accept it. I accept the responsibility for putting myself in situations that are now unacceptable. Maybe it wasn't always unacceptable, but it is now. I accept that. And with faith and trust, I get to move forward. My little can of spinach, I get to make a change. Ernest Holmes has another quote. It says, the whole Science of Mind, page 280. It says, the whole teaching of Jesus was based on the theory that we are surrounded by an intelligent law, which does unto each as he or she believes. He implied the necessity of faith, conviction, and acceptance, that is. It must be measured out to us according to our own measuring. We must not only believe, we must know that our belief measures the extent and degree of our blessing. It's done unto you as you believe. If you believe you're going to get that much of a blessing, that's how much you're going to get. It says, if our belief is limited, only a little can come to us, because that is as we believe. We call this the law of mental equivalence. How much life can any person, it says any man, but any person experience? As much as he or she can embody. Doesn't mean just have a thought and expect, oh, where is it? No, you got to embody it. You got to take it in. You got to feel it. You know, this teaching, a lot of it is very heady, right? Very intellectual, right? However, we know that the founder of this teaching, of this philosophy, felt more and more that it needs to be embodied. It needs to be felt. We need to put a little bit more energy in it. You know, just don't say the words. You got to feel them. You got to know that you know that you know that this is the truth. Yes? When you do your prayer, you know, you don't have to be jumping around and shouting to make somebody believe that you believe it, right? You do it by your own conviction, by your own energy level. We can hear it in the voice. We know it. You know, it doesn't have to, we don't have to pretty it up to make it sound sweet and, you know, and therefore spiritual. You know, spirit is alive, it's vibrant, it's energetic. You know what I'm talking about. Yes, that's what happens. Feel it, embody it, know it. And so, I do have some affirmations. I just want to say that we need to remember what we take in becomes a part of us. Whether we take it in mentally, physically through our mouth, we take it in. And if it's disagreeable, admit it. I shouldn't have ate that. Do I need to be hearing this? You know how we say, don't go to sleep with the TV or the radio on, because, you know, the filter is off. You know, just everything is coming in, you know, and we're not able to stop and even question what we're taking in. So yeah, be mindful of that. You know, what is coming in? And if it's disagreeable, I can't digest it, you know, it's going to come out one way or the other if it's indigestible. Is it undigestible? Indigestible, you know? It's unacceptable to your body. Trust your body. Trust. Your body knows. Your nose knows. Yeah, that just don't smell like it needs to be coming into me. You know, there's two things working. Your mind and your nose are like, yo, wait. You know, and your intuition, that inner knowing, it's disagreeable. Doesn't work. The vibe doesn't work with me. You know, trust that first thought. You know, trust that. That first thought is God thought. Right? You know, study long, you study wrong. You heard that one? You know, it's like, oh, let me think. Oh, gosh, no. Yeah, most of the thinking that we do is just trying to remember and match that memory anyway. So, yeah, when your heart can't accept it, accept the unacceptable. You know, my heart can't accept that anymore. It's not working. It's not, it doesn't even, what's there for me to receive in order to give? If I'm taking in poison, what am I going to be giving out? You know, trust your heart, trust your mind, trust your soul, trust the spirit. So we have to be discerning. We have to be able to say, you know, my nose says no, and this I know. And with that, we're able to accept that which is unacceptable. So I do have some affirmations, if you don't mind. You don't have to stand. Do your best to repeat after me, if you like. Here we go. I accept the unacceptable.
I accept the unacceptable.
Which is based on the love, the truth, and the spiritual way.
Which is based on the love
and truth of the spiritual way. I know that the unacceptable leads to a greater receiving of my good. I'll say it again. I know that the unacceptable leads to a greater receiving of my good. I give thanks in accepting blessings with positive expectancy. Thank you. Bless you. Thank you. Should I do a quick prayer? So we usually do a prayer to cement home the talk. So just join me in this brief note. You don't have to stand. Oh, practitioners stand. Oh, please, practitioners stand. I love it. Yes. Oh, how good it is to know that there's only one power, one presence, one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And I am knowing that I am open at all times. And when I say I am, I'm talking about the I am that we are. That there's only one, and therefore we are linked. We are joined together into one mind as infinite as the indwelling spirit resides in each and every one of us. It just looks differently, just has a different face, a different sound in its voice. But we are all one. We're operating from the oneness, the togetherness. And so therefore, each one is here for each other. Each one is here to recognize the presence and the power that lives and moves in each and every one. And so therefore, we get to be mirrors for each other. We get to reflect the good, the love, and the peace and the joy and the harmony that each one is. We are strung together. There's an invisible string that binds us together, the string of love and most certainly peace. And so I give thanks right here and right now for knowing that each and every one looks at their lives, pointing the finger within and looking for places that are unacceptable and knowing that, yes, I get to accept the unacceptable. So therefore, I can see it clearly. I have clarity. Oh, I have faith and trust that it's not going to overwhelm me. It's not going to control me. I don't have to be fearful of it. I know the truth as it shows up. I know the truth that is ever present. And I open my awareness and my willingness to be of service to accepting the unacceptable, so that I can in turn accept that which is good, that is holy, that is healing. I know that in all of my affairs, the affairs of my relationships, I know that anything that is unacceptable I can speak to. And I know that it is heard. I know that it is received. I know that it is based on the foundation of love and truth and trust and freedom. Well, I know that's also true in the areas of our relationships on the grand level, that peace is all there is, and that wherever there seems to be strife, wherever there is war, wherever there is conflict, let each one, moment by moment, reflect the peace and harmony that is within, and saying, you know what? I no longer fear being vulnerable to accept the good, even if it looks different than what I think it is. It's not unacceptable because of my fear and doubt and worry, afraidness. No, I'm vulnerable to receive the good, putting down the barriers, putting down the hate. There is only love. Love has no opposite. God has no opposite. And so I know that as each and every one of us looks to our body temple, as looking for health and wholeness, that whatever might stand in the way that is unacceptable, we now make it not just okay. No, we say, you know what? I accept the fact that I no longer need to be eating that. I no longer need to be listening to that or watching that. No, I'm taking in only the good. I'm not doing a spiritual bypass and say, no, that's okay. I'll just put up with it for a little while. No. Divine no. Yes, I know better. My nose smells something better is in store for me right now. And so I allow that good to reveal itself in each and every moment. And I know in those moments of our finances, it's unacceptable not to have enough. It's unacceptable to operate from a place of lack. We say, yes, I know it's God's good pleasure to give of the kingdom, of her kingdom, of his kingdom, of its kingdom. There's plenty to go around and more. Good and plenty, yes. We say yes to it and look for the ways of the unexpected income to find its way. It's unacceptable to not have the good. I accept the good. I accept all that is for each and every one of us to do what we're here to do, to reveal and to support our purpose on the planet, our divine purpose, which could look different every day, doesn't matter. I give thanks for this. I know this word spoken into the law of divine right action comes back filled to overflowing, already showing up in ways seen and unseen. So I give thanks for that. I release this word knowing it is God's job. It's already taken care of. Yes, and let it be the good that it continues to express itself as unlimited good. So I speak these words to affirm this truth. I invite each one to join me in affirming this truth, sealed in faith and trust, by saying, and so it is, and now it is. Bless you. Thank you.
And so as we journey on throughout our week, let us all follow our nose, our nose, our no, as we accept the unacceptable. We're going to eat our spinach, and we're going to stand on infinite truth. And so it is.